Welcome back. New claims of sex abuse at a former Germantown church.
Yeah, after watching an I-Team report about abuse allegations against a volunteer associate youth pastor, a former church member stepped forward claiming she was raped by a Sunday school teacher.
As local I-Team reporter Maria House reports, all 4 of these alleged victims say they turned to their pastor for help.
All 4 people say they turned to the same pastor, Scott Payne. They say Payne did remove the accused volunteers from the church, but claim he did not help them cope, report allegations to the authorities, or do anything to protect potential future victims.
It was about 6 months, 5 to 6 months from around the time he started talking to me to when he forcibly raped me.
Karen Trotter claims she suffered almost 2 years of repeated abuse from a Sunday school teacher at Emmanuel Baptist Church 25 years ago. The Germantown church changed names and no longer exists, but for Trotter, the nightmares continue.
I verbalized, stop, no, I don't want this. And I believe he said, no, you really do. And I, physically tried to stop him, and it was not up to me.
Trotter was 15 years old, below the age of consent in Tennessee. She says the Sunday school teacher who attacked her was about 30 years old and married. We tried to talk to the former Sunday school teacher about these accusations, but he refused. Although Trotter waited until last year to file a police report, she says her father reported the alleged abuse several years after it happened to the church's pastor, Scott Payne.
He did not take responsibility. He created no accountability. He had no accountability himself.
We asked Pastor Payne about Trotter's claims. He did not respond directly about his own actions, but did say Trotter's parents served in ministerial positions at his most recent church. Trotter is the latest person to file a police report alleging sex abuse at the same church and under the same pastor's leadership. As the I-Team first reported in November, 3 men recently filed police reports claiming sex abuse by a different church volunteer. Michael Hansen, his brother, and a friend say they were all abused about 20 years ago.
The lack of action by the church, that is what sticks with me the most, I think, because those are the people who are put into place to protect kids.
Pastor Payne admits after 2 of the men, then teenagers, complained directly to him, he did not report the allegations to authorities as Tennessee law requires. But Payne told us he did oust the accused person.
After we took the immediate action that we did, it was like the remedy had come.
When Pastor Payne spoke to the I-Team in November, he had a message for the men.
To these young men, I would say, I still love you. I'm sorry that you went through what you did. I'm sorry I didn't do more to protect you.
The first response institutionally is normally sweep it under the rug. Let's pretend it didn't happen. Let's don't report it to the police. Let's don't do a thorough investigation. That is exactly the wrong thing to do, because all that it does is assure it's going to happen again.
Gary Smith is an attorney with experience trying child sex abuse claims against religious institutions. Do you believe, even 20 years later, that they should reach out to the police? Or
Absolutely. Absolutely, because you've got an allegation of sexual abuse from one in your employment or under your control, and you better find out everything you can find out about it, because you're going to be responsible for them when it happens on your watch.
For churches who wish to avoid liability, Smith recommends thoroughly investigating all concerns, getting victims help, and following the law to report abuse allegations. He also recommends these proactive steps:
Training, monitoring, screening employees, new employees, doing everything you can to prevent that from happening. It's not unique to religious denominations, but it is certainly prevalent in all of them.
Trotter realizes the statute of limitations is up in her case, but encourages other victims to come forward.
It's a feeling of relief to finally get the truth out there.
In addition to Trotter, after our initial story aired in November, Kenny Stubblefield, Mike Hansen, and Brooks Hansen claim 8 people contacted them claiming sex abuse from the same associate youth pastor who the 3 men say abused them. The 3 men say they are now advocates for protecting children. Stubblefield is planning to open a Memphis chapter of SNAP. That's a victims' rights group which fights child sex abuse in all religions. In the studio for the Local Eye team, I'm Maria Hallis.